Welcome back. 30 years ago, I found myself living and working down on the Fermanagh-Cavan border. I had just finished my second year as a theological student, and the bishop of that part of the country put me in charge of three lovely little country churches, Connolly, Swanland Bar, St. Augustine, Swanland Bar, and a beautiful little church called Templeport. The churches hadn't had a minister in a while, so I suppose having a theological student was better than nothing. I lived in County Cavan in Swanland Bar, but spent a lot of time as well in the north, in and around Connolly, and I absolutely loved it. For a townie like me, this was my first introduction to country life. I loved the people. I loved the slower pace of life. I loved the fact that there were little boats bobbing around wherever you looked. If Frank Sinatra left his heart in San Francisco, I left my heart somewhere near Carey Bridge. Carey Bridge was my go-to place for time off. It was actually a lovely summer that year, 30 years ago. And on time off, I'd just drive down to Carey Bridge, go down to the riverbank near the little hotel, get a book and a drink, and watch the world go by. And it was heaven on earth. I also loved Enniskillen, which was obviously the nearest big town. I loved the churches, and I loved the castle lit up at night, and the people, of course. But I also loved the view up to the old Royal School, Portora, where several famous people had gone to school, including Oscar Wilde, Samuel Beckett, Neil Hannon from the Divine Comedy, and a hymn writer and poet who some of you may have heard of called Henry Francis Lyte. I wasn't aware until fairly recently that he was actually the writer of Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven, and also the hymn I want to play for you tonight, the hymn Abide With Me. He was a real poetry whiz, this Mr. Lyte. He won several prizes for poetry when he was a student at Trinity College. He went on to become ordained and would spend the rest of his life as a clergyman, a poet, and of course a hymn writer. But his hymn Abide With Me has been sung at football matches, rugby games. It was sung by Emily Sandé at the opening of the Olympics in London in 2012. And of course a lot of us associate that hymn as well with funerals. But it's much, much more than just a funeral hymn or a rugby anthem. It's really, at its heart, it's a prayer for the evening. I'm very much an evening person rather than a morning person, so I've always loved that hymn, and I love this time of day when the light's fading. And so tonight, I simply want to play for you a couple of verses of the hymn, Abide With Me. Abide with me, fast falls the eventide, the darkness deepens, Lord with me abide. If you're the praying type, then you can use this as an evening prayer. And if not, then you can sing along. Sending love to you all, wherever you are, and we'll be in touch again, God willing, in a few days' time. Take care of yourselves. Lighten our darkness, we beseech thee, O Lord, and by thy great mercy, defend us from all perils and dangers of this night, for the love of thy only Son, our Saviour, Jesus Christ. Amen.